Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
Diddy's trial is officially heating up. Now, Cassie may be off the stand, but her presence still looms large because day number 6 was all about backing up her claims. Her former friends and even Diddy's old assistant took to the stand, and y'all, the testimony got wild. Don Richard from Danity Kane and the hit group Diddy Dirty Money was making headlines in court yesterday. Prosecutors asked if Diddy knew about conversations regarding Cassie's abuse. Don said yes and testified that when she tried to speak up, Diddy told her, "Stay the F out of my relationship, y'all here to work. Stay the F out of my effing business." Then she dropped the bomb that after the 2009 Skillet incident, the one where Diddy allegedly attacked Cassie, he told Dawn the next day that Cassie was fine and warned her that if she said anything, people could go missing. Now, when asked what she thought that meant, she said straight up, "We could die." But Diddy's lawyers weren't having it. They grilled her on her inconsistencies, accusing her of changing her story, even reminding her that she was under oath multiple times and pointing out that she only told prosecutors about the threat last week. Her response, she said she remembers things to the best of her ability. Now, the crazy part about this, that Dawn has a civil lawsuit out against Diddy with word for word everything that she said happened. All she had to do was read it on the way to court. Hell, I read it on my channel back in September. She could have listened to that the morning of. Then there was the testimony of Carrie Morgan, Cassie's former BFF of 18 years. I don't know why, but listening to her testimony was giving blink twice. It was this black girl with her white friend chilling with her new boyfriend, billionaire. He becomes abusive, pushes Cassie down, hits her head on a brick. She's out for 30 seconds and then starts running through the woods. Carrie Morgan finds her in the woods and they get in the ditch and then start whispering to each other. All I could think about was,
I'd like to formally apologize for my behavior. I've sought therapy and I'm going to take a leave of absence from my company while I face these issues head on.
I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab.
Now, with Carrie Morgan, the defense, Ms. Westmoreland, was able to poke holes in her testimony as well. Carrie said that she went to the hospital when she spoke to the prosecution when Diddy choked her, yet now she doesn't remember saying she went to the hospital. She's saying that she went to urgent care. You have to remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and Diddy's team is doing their job of trying to cast some doubt in each of these witnesses' statements. Now, last to the stand yesterday before the judge ended the day early, we had Mr. David James, which is a former assistant of P. Diddy. They asked him who was Diddy's girlfriends at the time. He said Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. It was definitely giving DMX, but it seems like he has a lot of information of what happened in Diddy's house, and so we're going to continue with his testimony today. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notification so you don't miss out on any news regarding this story and so much more. Now let's get back into it. So we've made it to week number 2, day number 7, and we are going to continue with the trial because we can't stop, won't stop. Okay, so today Judge Arun Subramanian has greeted the defense and the prosecution teams who are discussing the defense's pending objection regarding the upcoming testimony of Regina Ventura, who happens to be Cassie Ventura's mother. Now, the testimony the government says will focus on events that took place in December 2011 when Cassie Ventura went home to Connecticut and shared details to her mom about Sean Combs' threats and physical abuse. Now, the prosecution will likely ask Regina Ventura about a demand of $20,000 they say Sean Combs made to her. Combs allegedly said he had spent that amount on Cassie and wanted to be compensated after she became involved with another man. The government said it believes the incident is strong proof of coercion, suggesting that Combs was continuing to keep Miss Ventura in his sphere when she was attempting to leave the relationship. Now, the defense is not denying that Sean Combs demanded $20,000 from his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura's mother, but lawyers argued that the exchange wasn't relevant. Regina Ventura did wire the money to Combs, but it was returned shortly thereafter. No money ever left Ventura's possession on an ongoing basis, according to Mark Agnifilo, adding that the anecdote introduces confusion without a great deal of purpose. Now, Sean Combs is sitting directly to Agnifilo's left at the defense table in a blue sweater and a white collared shirt with his legs crossed and his hands on his lap. Okay, so in walks the jury about 30 minutes late. There were about 4 or 5 of them that were having subway issues. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, David James, Diddy's former personal assistant, is back on the witness stand after the judge overruled the objection from the defense. Now, James is expected to discuss an incident involving Combs' industry rival, record producer Marion Suge Knight. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said the anecdote was irrelevant and not about anything that we are doing in this courtroom. However, we're going to hear it today. Prosecutor Slavic asked, what about the physical violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie? Did you personally observe it? No, I did not. Do you remember a blog post? Yes, I was in LA when he came back from a club. What did Mr. Combs say? That someone was lying on him saying he hit Cassie at a club. He went through my browser history. No one has ever done that to me. Did Mr. Combs give you instructions about Cassie? Yes, he told me to bring her food to the London hotel, some Roscoe's. What is Roscoe's? Some delicious fried chicken in Los Angeles. David James been hanging around too many of y'all ninjas. Now, Ventura had been at the London hotel for about a week around this time. When he arrived at the hotel, James said that he was surprised to see one of Combs' staff answer the door. I was expecting to see Cassie, as I had previous times. Now, the event that James is outlining recalls Ventura's testimony from last week, in which she described Combs brutally assaulting her in a car. She had visible injuries. Combs allegedly told her to decamp to the London hotel to recover. What did you do for Mr. Combs in New York? I'd bring him applesauce, Jell-O, Fiji water, his toiletry bag with ointments. Just for men, we brought 40 items so he wouldn't call us later. I'd get a key like at the Trump International. I'd set up his medicine bag in the personal LV bag. What was in it? Viagra, ecstasy, Percocet.
Germ, dust, PCP. Primos, Pito.
James says that there was a medicine bag stocked with 35 to 40 different pill bottles, some unmarked. He recalled seeing Advil, Tylenol, water pills for weight loss, Viagra, and meds to increase his sperm count, as well as Percocet and ecstasy. There was also a personal Louis Vuitton bag that James said Combs security would carry, depending on the date. James said it sometimes held $10,000 or more in cash. Pictures of this bag was shown to the jury last week, and it was seized by Homeland Security when agents raided Combs' hotel in New York in September, shortly after he was arrested. So Combs would travel with a large supply of prescription and illegal drugs, including pills that were stamped with President Barack Obama's face on them. And how did you go about replenishing these supplies? I used my personal credit card. Bad boy paid me back. Who paid you back? Usually Bonds. Did Mr. Combs ever stay alone in a hotel? Never. Usually Cassie, sometimes other women. And did he ask for things during his stay? He'd text me for an iPad or food. Did anything strange ever happen? Yes, in Miami. He asked me for an iPad from his house on Star Island. I drove to his hotel and knocked. No answer. I had the key because I set up the room. What did you see? Cassie on the bed. There was another person there who sort of scurried away and the shower was on. I thought Mr. Combs was in there. How was she sleeping? On her back? Objection, said defense. Sustained. Okay, so what about this other person? He was about 5'8" with long hair and a large endowment. He scurried away. Did you ask anything? I wasn't hired to ask about their personal affairs. Did you ever pick up drugs for Mr. Combs? Yes, Percocets at the pharmacy, sometimes in my name. Did you ever give permission to use your name? I don't recall that. Was there a drug dealer? Yes, one stop. He met with a lot of people? Yes, even former presidents. Which one? Former President Obama. What was your understanding would have happened if you hadn't done these things? Objection, says Agnifilo. Sustained. Did you ever take ecstasy? Yes, I was drinking Ciroc. I took ecstasy. I was Diddy bopping. I cannot with this man. What do you mean? I was vibing. Did you speak with Mr. Combs about it? He was reviewing footage of the party. We had a videographer who filmed the parties. He asked me, hey, Playboy, was that you dancing around at the party? I said yes, and he said, I'm going to keep that video in case I ever need it, meaning that I'd be embarrassed. Did anything ever go missing? They said a bracelet was missing. Uncle Paulie came to my hotel room and searched my belongings and those of my girlfriend at the time. Could you have said no? Objection, said Agnifilo. Move on, said the judge. Did you ever have to take a lie detector test? Yes. Who was present? Just me and this gentleman. It was very intimidating. They put monitors on my heart, my chest, and my hand. And could you have refused not to keep my job? Did this happen again? Yes, when Mr. Combs said a watch of his had been stolen. What was the result? The gentleman told me I seemed nervous. I said, sure I am. Once, Capricorn Clark had to take a test to prove she wasn't part of a heist of Mr. Combs' jewelry. Was there an incident at Mel's Diner with Suge Knight? Yes, I drove the Silver Navigator to get cheeseburgers there. D-Rock said, that's motherfucking Suge Knight. He went over there and said, what's up? Suge Knight didn't recognize him. D-Rock said, I'm Biggie's boy. Slavic said, what happened next? We noticed 4 black SUVs to different sides of the parking lot. I saw someone hand Suge Knight a gun. D-Rock said, we gotta get out of here. We drove back to the house. What did you find there? Cassie was crying, begging Combs not to leave, and this actually corroborates Cassie's testimony from last week. Mr. Combs got in the vehicle. I saw 3 guns on his lap. And you didn't say anything? Respectfully, sir, you have someone with 3 guns in that close proximity. I don't think I had the option to say something. I felt calm because we'd been in a silver vehicle, not a black one. They wouldn't see us coming. What did you find at Mel's Diner? Suge Knight had left. Mr. Combs said drive around the block. So this former employee's testimony may help to support the prosecutor's theory that Combs has an army of enforcers who enable his violent and illegal conduct. What did you decide? To leave the company. They offered me other positions, but I just wanted to leave. My life was at risk. No further questions. Mr. Agnifilo, says the judge. Agnifilo said, you didn't tell all of this the first time. They told me to stop, to not say anything that would incriminate me. Look at the notes from your interview, says Agnifilo. Read it to yourself, then look up at me. Okay. How did you recognize Suge Knight? I listened to hip hop. Were you drinking or smoking? No, sir. Your mind was clear? As clear as it could be, working 20 hours a week at 4 a.m. Okay, so D-Rock opens the door. Suge Knight is a few cars over? Yep, with the windows open. D-Rock says, I'm Biggie's boy, and then Suge recognizes him, gives him dab. What's a dab? A handshake. Did you leave D-Rock at the diner? Why are you smiling? Because that's a crazy question. Why would I? Didn't you leave D-Rock at the diner? That makes no sense. I'm not asking what makes sense. I'm asking, did you? No. You say you saw Cassie and Mr. Combs? Yes, Mr. Combs told me to drive. You don't know where Mr. Combs got the guns, do you? I didn't know we had guns until then. Have you ever been in a situation like that? No. You didn't say I didn't want to drive to Suge Knight with guns? No. And what exactly did you do before you got this job? I was a door-to-door salesman, then personal assistant. Now you were going with guns to confront someone? It was not ideal. And you knew how to get to Mel's Diner, right? I frequent there all the time. You never seen guns before, right? No. That is a radical departure from your job description. Is that an understatement? It's the understatement of the day so far. Do you have immunity? Ask my lawyer. I have some kind of offer agreement. Proper. You didn't tell anyone about this? Only my wife. Did you meet with the government this morning? Yes, briefly about what might come up at Cross. Did the Mel Diner incident come up? Not that I recall. It's this morning. What did you talk about? Your style? David James burst into laughter. I'm dying to ask what they said, but I won't. I have a few more mundane questions. I love mundane questions. Where did you travel with Mr. Combs? Ibiza, London, Saint-Tropez? Were these vacations? Business oriented? What were you hired as? Personal liaison, but I was a personal assistant. He met a high-level roster of people? Second understatement of the day. Why? He met with a who's who. It was important that he be prepared for these meetings, right? Yes. It was important that he be on time. No, we changed meetings to fit his schedule all the time when he didn't want to show up at a certain time. He had security because people wanted to touch him, right? Yes, in the airport and McDonald's. Was he gracious? I don't think gracious is the word to use for Mr. Combs. Did he sign autographs? No. You said he stayed in the studio until about 3 or 4 a.m. and you stayed with him. Yes, it was common. What sort of things would he want to always have with him? Ketchup, for example. Did you know he puts applesauce on his cheeseburgers? No, but I knew he liked applesauce. Agnifilo continues, he liked Astroglide, condoms, and baby oil, but you didn't expense it through the business. Usually not. James continues, I was told he didn't want to run them through the company. He didn't want a record of them. Okay, so when you bought the 8 ball of Coke in Saint-Tropez, you didn't tell Mr. Combs, did you? He was asleep. Okay, so tell me about your relationship with Roger Bonds. We talked about Bad Boy as a family. What do you mean? Mama Combs called me her son many times. What was the mission? Make sure he's happy. Was it fun? I enjoyed it from time to time. What was your relationship with Chef Jordan? Professional? Did you choke her? No. Objection, says prosecution. Judge says sidebar. Tell me what happened. We were on Star Island. She told me where to take him. I grabbed her 2 wrists and said, stay in your effing lane. Was there a fallout? It was reported to corporate headquarters. Mr. Combs called me in. Mr. Combs told me you can't be putting your hands on women. You do it again and I'll fire you. He told me to give her a gift. What did you give her? I rolled up a blunt and gave it to her. Did she like it? It appears she did. You were in a car with Mr. Combs and who? Chris Lighty. You have taken ecstasy? I'd party, sure. What were things like in the studio? Drugs? Yes, it's a creative environment. I didn't smoke when working with Mr. Combs, but he caught you smoking once. I thought he was in for the night. I lit up. He came out. He said, what are you doing? I said, nothing. He said, if you're man enough to smoke, you're man enough to tell me. I said, okay, I'm smoking. He said if I did it again, he'd fire me. How about when you picked up 2 prostitutes and had sex with one? Damn! Objection 403. Judge says overruled. She asked for $200. I called Bonds and asked, what the hell? She asked to take a shower. I said, that's $200. Laughter. On that note, no further questions. Judge says redirect. So let me give you clarification of this event. So James said that he was not aware at the time that these 2 women were sex workers. So he and Bonds met the women out for drinks at a hotel and then they brought them back to Combs' home. Now Combs was not there at the time. Now after they had relations, James said that Bonds told him to pay one of the women $200. But James did not want to part with that money for long. So he said that the woman had asked to use the shower and he charged her $200 to do it, so he got his money back. Prosecution says, what about the incident in Alpine, New Jersey? James says to file a police report and say that Chef Jordan had been the aggressor, but I didn't file it. I drove around and told him I'd made the report. And what did we ask you to do? To tell the truth. Nothing further, says prosecution. Judge says recross. Agnifilo says you lied to Mr. Combs about filing the police report. Yes. Nothing further. Could we break? Judge says, go ahead and take your break. Okay, so we're back from break and the judge tells the jurors, I'm going to try to get the temperature turned up in here. I'm told it's complicated, but I'm freezing right along with it. There's some laughter. Then the government calls Regina Ventura. Prosecution asks, Miss Ventura, where do you live? New London, Connecticut. How many children do you have? 2, Roderick and Cassandra. Who is this? That's Sean Combs. He dated my daughter. So when did you meet Sean Combs? 2006, my daughter signed with his Bad Boy Records. They started dating. They moved to LA. Read this message from December 2011. Cassandra wrote to me. She said Mr. Combs threatened to release a sex tape and go after her and Mr. Mess Cuddy, aka Kid Cudi. And how did you react? It made me sick. Sean Combs demanded $20,000. He said to recoup losses due to Mr. Mess Cuddy from my husband and myself. Why did you take a loan to pay Sean Combs? For my daughter's safety. Look in the binder next to you. Oh, these are photos I took of my daughter's bruises from Sean Combs. Do you know Mia? She was an employee of Sean Combs. What happened? We were in his kitchen laughing. Sean asked why she was laughing. She stopped and looked plain. Now to August 2016. We're done with this binder. While in LA, did you call the police? Yes, Sean Combs stole Cassie Cassandra's phone. They had a bitter argument outside her apartment building. She lived on the 17th floor. They argued at the roundabout. Okay, and who else was there? D-Rock? Is Damian Butler his government name? He was standing between us. I tried to hit him. Sean Combs took Cassandra's car, a Jaguar. No further questions. Judge says cross. Defense says no questions. The judge says next witness. Prosecution says the government calls Mr. Sheree Hayes. Where are you from? Sheree Hayes says Harlem, New York. What was your work? Male exotic dancer. I was known as the Punisher. Not the Punisher. Do you recognize these 2? I do, Mr. Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. I was hired in 2012 to create a sexy exotic scene for them. These photos are shown. And why were you called the Punisher? Playing basketball on West 4th Street. And the woman who called you, what time did she book you for? Midnight at Trump Tower, Central Park West, striptease for a small group of friends. Well, he is very descriptive now, isn't he? Now, when you got there, how did Miss Ventura appear? In a bathrobe with nothing underneath and a wig. I was expecting a crowd, but there was no one else. She told me that she and her husband wanted to create a sexual scene with baby oil. Okay, and what did she hand you? $800. How was the room? Dimly lit, electric candles, bowls of water with bottles of baby oil in them. She told me not to acknowledge her husband, not to look at him when he came out. Did he come out? Yes, he was naked, but I couldn't see his face. It was like what a Muslim woman wears. You see only the eyes. He had a bottle of Astroglide. What the hell? What the hell? How did you recognize it? I use it, the purple top. How did it end? She went into the other room with him. When she came back, she asked if I wanted to finish. I said no. If they were happy, I was happy. She gave me more money. Did you do it again? Yes, 8 or 12 times. So this was his first time with the couple. It happened to be in 2012. He didn't go any further than the touching and the lathering of the oil and all of that. Cassie asked him if he wanted more. He said no. She gave him his money and then he left. Prosecution asked, how did you end up recognizing her? I was a fan of Mr. Combs and followed him on Instagram. I saw her on it. This would be a good place for a break. They end up breaking. Okay, we're back from break and prosecution says, how were these sessions scheduled? I'd be reached out to at about 5 or 7 p.m. for later. They want a sexy scene and I knew it would be more. How would it start? Baby oil, a sexy atmosphere. Mr. Combs would direct. How did the direction work? Mr. Combs might say, sit forward, move the camera. Or what would happen sexually, you know, one time during sex, he dropped a stack of money. He said, I like this shit. How much baby oil did you use? A lot. We were supposed to be glistening as much as possible. How long would they last? 4 hours. There was a lot of waiting, maybe 40 minutes or so. I was supposed to finish in a specific spot. Then what? She would leave with Mr. Combs 10 or 15 minutes. She returned in a bathrobe and pay me $2,000 or $1,200 cash. Did you think Miss Ventura was enjoying herself? Objection, said defense Donaldson. Judge says sustained. Did you use drugs? I am not a marijuana smoker, but I did pull a Bill Clinton. I was handed a joint. Did you have performance issues? Having the woman's partner there, yes. Did your performance issues affect your pay? Objection. Overruled. I wasn't sure how they calculated it. One time, Mr. Combs threw condoms on the couch next to us. I struggled. It was a failure. What happened? They went out. I finished. She came back and thanked me for privacy. What did you think would happen next? I was worried I would not be used again. I hadn't done my job. He had said, I want you to F her, and I couldn't. Are you writing a book? Yes, a self-help book about my erectile dysfunction. It's advice. In your book, do you write about your time with Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura? Yes, I call them a married, wealthy couple. How long is it? 6 pages out of 186. I sensationalize it. I want it to be enjoyable. Highs and lows. No further questions, said prosecution. Judge says, Mr. Donaldson. Xavier Donaldson says, I'll try to make this as harmless as possible. Congratulations on your book. What is it called? In Search of Freezer Meat. What's harder than that? Good title. You have a website? Yes, now I'm a co-owner. All the male dancers are independent contractors. You've been doing this for 25 years, 30 years, coming up on my big anniversary. You dance with them for 30 years, thousands of ladies. You try not to develop feelings for them, right? You try not to, it's a job. But you talked with Cassie. Yes, cordially. She asked to be able to call you. Just to set up sessions, we were never asked to talk. She was comfortable with you. She said so. You had feelings for her? Incorrect. But you thought she was only doing this with you. That is correct. She said it was a special occasion. You did develop feelings for her. That's not correct. But you told the government notes say that you developed feelings for her. That may have been taken out of context. You used your 25 years experience. This was a different scene. Usually I aim for humor. Now you wouldn't try to dry hump someone who didn't want to be dry humped, correct? Yes, it is important to read the room. So you read the room with Cassie and she wanted, objection, says prosecution, sustained. Was Mr. Combs' request that you penetrate? It was a demand, a strong suggestion. Cassie paid you even when she canceled, right? Yes, $500. Mr. Hayes, I wish you much success with your book. Thank you. Redirect, says judge. Prosecution says, what made you think Miss Ventura enjoyed herself? It was the first time unprotected. Without the details, please. Objection. No further questions. Mr. Donaldson, What do you mean by steamy? I felt it was enjoyable for Ms. Ventura and Mr. Combs. The government calls its next witness, Special Agent Gerald Gannon. Where do you work? HSI in Miami in the National Security Group. In March of 2024, the HSI Human Trafficking Group, Sex and Labor in Miami. What time did the search begin? After 3 p.m. Why so late? We learned Mr. Combs and his family were flying out of the country. Was there a pier on the property on Star Island? Yes, we had to monitor it. 2 photographs of Star Island are now shown. Why did you have to break open the gate? To make sure that bad actors wouldn't have time to put those who would search in danger. What is this a photo of? The pool and the pier. He's then shown 2 photographs of the Star Island floor plan. What did you find here? Part of an AR-15 rifle, sex toys, and Astroglide. The photos are then shown to the jury. These magazines were loaded with bullets. What do these show? The serial numbers have been cut out. Let's turn to 2 more exhibits. What are these? The ammunition we found. And these platform high heels, how high are they? 7 inches. This may be a good place to stop for the day. The judge says, let's go ahead and break for the day. So according to Agent Gannon, he said that the defacement typically occurs when the gun holder wants to prevent law enforcement from tracing the weapon. Now, he also reviewed 2 gun magazines that he said contained 19 rounds and 10 rounds of bullets. Now, just to give you a little insight about what's going on in the courtroom, today is the 2nd day that Janice Combs and Diddy's sons, Justin, Quincy, and Christian, were not in the courtroom. The girls have not been present for quite some time. They had prom this past weekend, and they are gearing up for graduation. According to the government, if time does allow, they will be calling Kid Cudi to the stand this week. He is a rapper whom Cassie Ventura briefly dated while she was involved with Sean Combs, the same rapper whose car exploded after a jealous Combs threatened to blow it up, according to Ventura's testimony and her lawsuit. Let's also note that Diddy has added yet another attorney. We have Jonathan P. Bach, and he works with Alexandra Shapiro at the Shapiro, Arado, and Bach firm. This man is supposedly good at what he does. He's one of the nation's leading trial attorneys. With over 30 years, he has handled numerous high-profile criminal and civil trials in federal and state court throughout the country. He has successfully represented prominent Wall Street professionals, public officials, entertainment figures, as well as a range of public, private, and nonprofit entities. Everyone is trying to jump on this case now because they're believing that there may be a strong chance that Diddy may win, but the fat lady has not yet sung. Okay, so I also want to update you on Clayton Howard. Now, Clayton Howard is an alleged sex worker of Cassie and Diddy for over a few years. Clayton is represented by the infamous Tyrone Blackburn. And Clayton allegedly has a journal about his time with Cassie and Diddy. Now, this journal allegedly does not fare well in Cassie's favor. So Diddy's attorney, Tini Garagos, issued a subpoena stating, I need that information. Well, he filed a motion to quash the subpoena stating that the information that he has was privilege information. He might be possibly filing a lawsuit, and he's just simply not able to give it to them. So Judge Subramanian said, give the information to me, let me look at it, and I'll tell you if it's privilege or not. Well, yesterday he says the court has reviewed the motion to quash the subpoena and Combs' response to the motion. Based on the court's review of the material in question and for the reasons set forth in the defendant's letter, the materials are not privileged and should be produced forthwith. The defense is trying very hard to get this information. Let's see how it all goes down. So one last thing I want to discuss, and I promise I'll let y'all go. So a lot of people have been in the comments saying, what happened to Don's face? And it's been plenty of times I said to myself, what the hell did she change? But I went back and I listened to Don's civil lawsuit that I had from September. And Diddy said one thing to her that kind of stuck out. He said at one point, you need to do something about this. And he pointed to her face. So with her music not doing as well as it did when she was with Dirty Money and Danity Kane, who knows if this stuff actually started getting in her head? Because they said Diddy was always good at getting in your head. And I remember back in the day, people used to say Diddy only got those girls in Dirty Money because he always wanted to be the baddest bitch in the group. Now, I personally love Don's music and I always thought she was a pretty woman. But beauty is always in the eye of the beholder. So let's just give this woman some grace because because we don't know what all she had to tolerate, y'all. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything currently going on in the Diddy trial? Baby, I'm about ready for them to bring David James back because he was an entire hoot. Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching, but before you go, hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.